Alright, I'm just going to test my volume first. Alright, I'm testing my volume. Great. Let's start off with the weekly forecast. Right now, I believe this week it's going to be a brief one, right, because it's week 2 of the March monthly candle. Okay. Now, I've annotated the previous week's highs and lows, and the nearest draw on liquidity on the downside, that would be this fair value gap for ES, and for NQ that would be this fair value gap. Like, for example, let's just say it wants to trade lower. Okay, overall bias is still bullish, so I'm not trying big tops. I'm just gonna wait and see what Tuesday present to me. Okay, now best case scenario, because we are bullish, I would like to see Tuesday or Wednesday take out the low of the previous week, which is this low here and this low here. Right, so bear in mind, next week Tuesday we have CPI. Okay, I have no idea where the market is going to open up on Sunday, so I have to wait for that opening price as well. Okay, and best case scenario, we get Tuesday low of the week to attack the previous week's high to make new all-time highs. Okay, because we are still bullish on the higher time frames. As you can see, this is the weekly time frame. There is no signs of retracements just yet, because we are still respecting bullish on the blocks. Okay, we don't have any closing prices below this down close candle just yet. Okay, so from now onwards, right, any closing prices below this down close candle for Nasdaq and this down close candle for ES, any closing prices, then I will look to short. Okay, which means prices might have change in their state of delivery. Okay, so right now still bullish. I'm going to continue to be bullish until it proves me otherwise. Okay, now because we have a contract rollover, this is why we have this huge gap here. I think we can fill this gap next week, right? The next candle, the following candles, right, we're probably going to fill this gap. Okay, and yep, I think that's about it for the weekly forecast, because there's nothing else I can touch on, as we are on a we are in all-time highs, and we are creating new all-time highs almost every week. So there's nothing really much to annotate, because there's nothing on the left for me to reference for, to aim for higher prices. Okay, if I really want to force it, I can utilize this projection here, which I don't think it's going to be very useful. Okay, because we closed above 2.5, right? So the next available target would be 4 for ES. And for NQ, we are at around 2 to 2.5. So NQ is slightly lagging here in terms of standard deviations, right? But if it goes to 4, then we'll have it here, or if it goes to 3, then somewhere around here. Okay, so that's all I have for measurements or for price target levels, right? If I'm really forcing it, right, using the projections. Okay, now for DXY, because we are trading lower on DXY, that gives me supporting confluences, supporting factors that indices are most probably going to rally. Okay, so everything points bullishness. Alright, I can't justify shorts for now. Okay, intraday shorts are a different thing, different concept, right? But on the higher time frames, I am not expecting bearishness just yet. Okay, we just have to wait to see what CPI do. Okay, because that will be the manipulation for next week. Right now, I'm just gonna go over what I did last week, right? A brief run over on my Telegram group here. So this is on March 6th. Okay, now previously I took a small stop loss here while I was trying to short this 4-hour CB, okay, on Wednesday. Alright, so because I thought that we are going to have another run lower, because we have a relative equal lows down here, I thought that we're going to have another run lower before higher prices, but right, obviously I was wrong here. I was stopped out. Alright, and eventually I waited for 10:30, right, because at 10 o'clock we have Powell speaking, right? 10 o'clock we have Powell speaking, so I have to wait for 10:30, right here. So now at 10:30, around 10:30, this is what we have, right? The 4 hours BC, okay, and then this is the annotations for the 50 minutes, right? So from there I realized that we are probably going to close up this CB here on S&P, right? The bullishness is in S&P, right? S&P is way more bullish than NQ because on the way up there was no stop hunts on the daily time frame, right? They're all, if you take a look at all those swing lows on the daily time frame, we did not run any, right? Even here we did not run this swing low here. So ES was way more bullish as compared to NQ, right? If you remember, at this swing low here, NQ had a lower low, so this right here is SMT, right? Higher lows on ES, lower lows on NQ, right? You can refer back to your charts to see if that's the case, right? Now because we are trading into 10 o'clock, we're gonna have high impact news and we're gonna have Jerome Powell speaking at the same time. I was thinking that, okay, sell side first, right? Because if we are going to go higher, we are going to attack some form of sell stops first. So my initial draw on liquidity would be this low here, 830 low, right? Because we have a news driver 830 and it left this low here. It's a relative equal low to this, right? It's just a shallow run down this below this swing low here. So in my mind, liquidity rests here. So smart money would like to attack this liquidity here. At the same time, we have a implied fair value gap, right? The midpoint of this wick here and the midpoint of this wick, both when you draw a box or a rectangle, it forms a fair value gap. So price came down into that implied fair value gap, traded higher. So this low is very important. So this to me is a breaker, and this to me it's an inversion implied fair value gap. Right, so following, we see that we have a 5 minutes CB with this up close candle here, and we took out, if I'm not wrong, we took out the previous day's high, okay, or some form of old higher time frame liquidity, like 1 hour and so, right? So I believe that this is one of those higher time frame PD arrays, and then we trade lower, right? This is demo trading, right? Because I was waiting for 10:30. Okay, this is before 10. So I was trading shorts. I wanted to look for this 8:15 low here, and by 10 o'clock, if price has not attacked this low here, I will aim for this low as well. Okay, now as you can see, I put my limit orders both here and here. This demo, right? Let me repeat, this is demo. Okay, and eventually we got what I was looking for after 10. Right, so now because I have this validation here, this shaded area is actually a 15 minutes breaker. Right, so this shaded area is a 15 minutes breaker that's overlapping with this 4-hour BC high and 4-hour BC low. So this blue lines here, this highlights the entire 4-hour BC range. Okay, fair value gap, right, on the 4 hours. So I was waiting to see if price is going to perform as I expect, which means this should be turned into a inversion because we are bullish on the higher time frames. Price came down to attack the sell side first, okay, using news, right, and then we're going to run higher. That's the whole point of stop hunts, okay, before going higher. Right, so right here, gonna see if it's gonna reverse bullish, and we're gonna see if this turns into a inversion fair value gap. Right, so 10:30, right, there's nothing, and then at around this candle here, this is the candle that I mentioned. I think this is like 10:35 or something, right? I wanted to see this candle close above this BC here, right, because this BC would signify that, I mean, if it closes above, because so the context is because the previous candle closed within this BC, and if price is to reverse to take out this high here, I would like to see speed, because reversals usually do not give, or do not spend too long, alright, especially above the 50% range of this dealing range here, from this high to this low. So this is the current dealing range on the lower time frames. Okay, so I want to see this candle close above this BC here for a confirmation for longs. Okay, now on the 1 minute we have a BC forming, right? So this is my entry here. We have this BC here, and then we have this close here. Right now it's way past 10:30, right? So we created this BC 1 minute, and the 5 minutes gave me the confirmation that we are closing above that the previous 5 minutes fair value gap. So my entry was here, and my stops is down here on this low that stopped out this low here. So this right here is a stop hunt, and then we have a shift in market structure right here with this BC. So this right here was my entry, and when I was looking for this high, right? And then after that we have this 5 minutes BC, right, formed within this inversion. Now this is a high probability BC, right, because we have one respected down here, right, and then it forms another one confirming the change in the state of delivery. Now entry could be right here. That would be around my 1 minute fair value gap anyways. So price came down and then reversed higher, right? And all at the same time we are below 10 o'clock's opening price, right? So this 10 o'clock opening price, this 10 a.m. model here, the 4-hour candle model here, I learned it from Trader Dexter, right? And I explained it in my previous weekly forecast video, so if you're interested you can watch it. But if you're bullish, you want to buy below opening price, right? So you want to buy the discount wick, right? The wick do the damage, right? And the body tells the story. So you want to buy within the wick, right? That's the best buying levels available. Okay, so I was buying below 10 o'clock's opening price, and then during the macro I mentioned that I want to see speed, because prior to the macro we are consolidating, right? Price is not going anywhere, it's just consolidating below the 10 o'clock's opening price. So at 10:50 to 11:10, that's the macro, right? So I want to see macro spool price to my objective, and right here, there you have it. This is a 5 minute time frame, right? And then the macro just spools the price with speed, right? Because it's a reversal, I want to see speed. Okay, and especially if we are trading and closing above 50% of this current daily range, as I've mentioned before, above 50% we're gonna see speed, right? So this is my trade here. So for that entire week, this was my trade on a Wednesday, and then I skipped Thursday and Friday due to non-farm payrolls. Okay, now if I'm not wrong, I did take a trade on Tuesday, but it was I think it was sort of a break-even stopped out, because halfway through the trade I realized that price wasn't going to do what I wanted to do, right? So on Tuesday, let me take a look. 5 o'clock, not 5 o'clock, 5th of March, right here. Okay, so on Tuesday, right, the red one, right, you can read it yourself, right? So this was my entry here, right? So my entry was down here within this 4-hour BC, right here, entry, and then I exited right here. Okay, because price wasn't showing me what I want in terms of time, right? And what do I mean by that? Because at 6 o'clock, okay, this is the 6 o'clock's close price, and this is the 6 o'clock opening candle price, right? So at 6 o'clock we have closed below this consequent encroachment, right? My orders are somewhere around here. I actually bought the low, so we are closing below this consequent encroachment of this 4-hour BC here. So this is not something that I want to see to trade, to have the price trade above here, right? Because we are in Tuesday. If Tuesday, it's to create a low of the week in London, we should see expansions, right? And we should see price respect bullish PD raise, right? So this is one sign that made me close my positions, right? Made me realize that it's probably not gonna trade into this area, right? It's probably gonna trade lower. Okay, and on the 1 hour, right, my entry was down here right at this fair value gap, so I was lucky to get this fill because it was right to the exact price, so it didn't went down 0.25, right? It was right at the exact point here. So at this point here, we have created equal lows at the same time when we have the 6 o'clock candle closing. So at a point of time, I believe that this is most probably going to be the next strong liquidity for the following 6 o'clock's 4-hour candle, which is why I decided to close my position somewhere around here. Okay, now due to this is why I have a stopped out trade on Tuesday. It was a break-even trade, right? Because I didn't get what I want, but still in slight profits, but to me it's break-even, right? Because my idea did not play out, right? So overall for this entire week itself, I only traded on Wednesday, right? And as ICT has mentioned, for non-farm payroll weeks, you're gonna stop on Wednesday, right? Wednesday AM session, that's going to be your last executions. So moving forward, maybe because I was looking for a 4-hour Peter Ray for my exits, right? So maybe in the future I might hold it, right? So let's say my entry was on Wednesday, I might hold it through all the way to Friday if everything validates. So which means I don't have to enter new positions, I just have to hold it, right? And the same thing applies. Executions are limited to Wednesday AM session now. This is just what I'm going through, and I mean this is just what I went through for that previous week, for this week itself, right? Just sharing it. And prior to every week, I always have my expectations, right? So previous week expectations for Q1 of the month of March, typically it's a seek and destroy profile, and we did get that seek and destroy profile on Nasdaq, right? So if you take a look at Nasdaq, the weekly candle here, right? So we basically took out previous week's high and previous week's low. So this is a form, this is a signature of seek and destroy, okay? Taking out previous week's high and previous week's low, just as how you would classify it during the daily range, which means if London takes out Asia highs and lows, we're most probably going to have a very difficult and tough trading conditions for the following AM session, because it's a seek and destroy signature, right? Right, price is just rejecting highs and lows, right, as Romeo says. So if price is rejecting highs and lows, it means that we're in a consolidation, and during consolidations it's very hard to trade, okay? You basically want to wait for the range extremes, right? So there you have it, right? And I'll see you guys in the next one, right? Good luck trading next week, and enjoy your weekend.